The Mahoning Valley Daily Podcast.
All right, thank you very much for tuning in today to the Mahoning Valley Daily Podcast. I am your host, Ron Cabuno, and I figured we are going to give the video a break today, and we're going to keep the sports theme rolling for the week to round it out. But we're also going to touch on a touchy subject today, and that is the renaming of the Cleveland Indians. And I know a lot of people have very strong opinions one way or the other about that, and I think that is one of the goals of this show, is to hopefully at least have the conversation about why some people might take offense to something like that, and whether or not we need to play along with it, so to speak, or respect what they might have to say. I gotta say, the Guardians, terrible name, absolutely horrible. Now, if we were sponsored by Marvel, let's say they came in and bought the team and made the fan user experience at the ballpark some kind of crazy, amazing Six Flags ride, that is something I am down for. But, just to name them after some statuary on a bridge, that has no connection to the team for me, and I am out. I was totally looking forward to them being named the Spiders. I thought that was completely in the bag. They already were named the Spiders, so why not go back to that? It's totally cool. It'd be a badass uniform, and it actually has something to do with the team's history, as opposed to, as I said before, the roadside statuary. Now, it's absolutely ridiculous. You might have named the team after any other Cleveland landmark that everyone passes by, nobody cares about, and nobody knows the name or history of. That's essentially what they did there. So I am not a fan of what they landed on, but you got to understand why they did it. In the conversations that I've had about the name change, you get the blanket statement of, well, I can't believe that they gave in to woke, in quotation marks, as if woke is this amorphous blob that goes around the country and makes people change to politically correct things. Now, this is not an actual thing, so we got to get that out of our minds. These are individual businesses and organizations that may be under pressure from individual groups or certain walks of society that have changed so drastically with regards to or against what they've named themselves 100 or so years ago, that yes, they're willing to move in a different direction, but you can't just chalk it up to woke culture as if it is this plague that is sweeping the country. I get it. I get that people are disappointed. And that's what I hear in the voices when I have the conversations about the name change, is that this was their team and now it feels like it's not, because we know them as one thing and one thing only. You don't just go changing your grandpa's name. Your grandpa's name's Mike. It's Mike forever. You can't just change it and expect things to feel the same. So the thing is, though, every one of these teams has a story. Every one of these teams has a group, like I said, that might have been given the shaft in the history or caricatured or, kind of not been in consultation and didn't exactly condone it when they gave them the name. Imagine if you're one of these tribes who had a college team named after you, but the college sits on the plot of ancestral land that you were kicked out of long ago. You can't tell me that the animosity isn't going to run really, really deep in those types of circumstances. So, you got to agree that that is something that needs to maybe be addressed by these places, and has been for, going on 20 plus years now. So just to think that it's this modern occurrence is pretty much a falsehood. It's just that we're seeing it in other aspects and with other members in groups of society that just hadn't had a fair shake at claiming their spot in the hierarchy of society until recently. So like another conversation I had was the difference, the sliding scale of something like the Indians versus the Redskins. And when I ask somebody if there's a difference between those two, they say yes. And I'm like, okay, so that is something we can build on, because I totally agree to that. Now, ask yourself, when did you question why Native Americans were called Indians still, even after they knew that they were wrong? Like, I had to have been in middle school, and I asked my teacher, I said, so they came here and thought it was India. Yeah, of course, that's what happened. Columbus sailed the ocean blue, screwed up, called them Indians anyways, and they were fine with it. I don't know. They weren't allowed to speak up against it, so that's just what it was. But like, nobody ever changed it. Nobody ever spoke up. This is insane. So to me, I guess I understand that like that in and of itself is a problematic name, and that's why it got changed. But if you want to talk sliding scale with me, we can talk about like that versus Redskins, which got changed first, which I think most people would agree is objectively more insidious. It is more slanderous and definitely deserved to go. The odd thing, though, is that they kind of have a flip-flop on their logos, where the logo for the Redskins is a bit more bold and brave and whatnot, whereas the Indians is a much bigger caricature of a Native American. So that's a tough call, but the Redskin name had to be changed. I know that tradition and loyalty runs deep in the uniforms of our teams, and the names that they put on those jerseys mean a lot. They mean a lot to the psyche of the fan base. So the fans are going to be the toughest ones to swallow these pills, and I am not going to lie, I am among them. I still have plenty of Chief Wahoo memorabilia that I don't plan on getting rid of. Now, I'm probably going to wear it around the yard more than out or to the store. And that's just me doing my small part to accept the change that is underway. Even if they should have been the Cleveland Spiders. But I'm going to accept it, and I'm going to move forward. And I'm still going to have that memory of the Indians. But, like, come on now. You can't say that, like, oh, well, if they're going to go for the Indians now, they're going to go for the Cowboys next, because didn't the Cowboys round up the Indians? There's a slippery slope, so why do we have to get rid of any at all? And we have to stop that kind of talk. We have to understand where maybe we all have different lines of decency that we draw in the sand, but we can come together on some and say that they are a bridge too far, and that way we can work together and maybe go forward with, a little bit more agreement on the most egregious ones. And that way we can feel that both sides are getting a little something in the debate and aren't being hammered over the head with the needs and the wants of the other. So that's my piece for the day. And I hope you guys have a really good weekend. Hit me back with any comments or contrarian thoughts that you have on my take of this situation, and I'll appreciate it. And I will see you guys on Monday. Thanks for listening.